Another episode of Open for Discussion. I'm your host, C. Maurice Ball. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and share button that gonna be coming past here on the bottom. And without further ado, I'm introducing to some and presenting to others this amazing woman of God who is out here being a phenomenal mom, a phenomenal wife, a phenomenal entrepreneur out here changing lives and doing big things. And I am super excited to be able to hang out for a few minutes with her. And we're going to just chop it up and do what we do best. But without further ado, we're going to kick this intro. And when we come back, we're going to have our special guest. Kick that intro. Well.
What's up?
What is happening? Mr. Kid Estes, the woman of God. How are you?
I am doing well. No complaints.
No complaints. That's good because I think we come from a generation that don't take too. It's like what? Get over it. Keep it moving. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. They don't want to hear it.
So you are in Hoover, Alabama, correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
So for people who don't know about Hoover, kind of explain to people Hoover in reference to, where people always know Birmingham, but in reference to Birmingham.
Okay. Yeah. So Hoover, Alabama, we are the outskirts of Birmingham. We're about 15 to 20 minutes away from downtown Alabama. They call it Over the Mountain. So we here over the mountain. It's a diverse community. Known for Two-A-Day. If you watch MTV Two-A-Day back in the early 2000s, that is where I'm located. We're known for football. The whole state is known for football, but Hoover is known for football. So that is where I am, Hoover, Alabama.
Hoover, Alabama. So here's how we came across each other. We lived in Hoover, Alabama for a brief time, and we had I coached. I think I met them initially coaching basketball. I coached the league, and they have a son, DJ, who is a phenomenal young man. And so we coached. Then we coached against each other. I coached against them. Then we I think we played again with each other, but we just became we became really good associates based off of that. And then just over time, just developed a relationship and everything. And they're an amazing couple doing amazing things. And how is that college age young man of yours?
He is doing good. I talked to him earlier today. One of the things that I like about DJ is he's far away. He's 8 hours away from us. He's in Durham, North Carolina. So this is his first time ever being away from us this long. But he's handling it. He's good. He calls home just about every day. He FaceTime us and talk to us and tell us he love us. So that's all good. That's my baby too. That's the boy.
Yeah.
So that's my baby.
So he went to Hoover. He played football, and he is outside of being a phenomenal scholar. He received a full ride scholarship to
North Carolina Central University, HBCU. I'm an
HBCU in the building.
Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm with my people.
Let's go.
Yeah, so he's there. This is his first year. He just wrapped up his first semester with a 3.0 GPA.
Awesome.
And so that's awesome when you don't have your parents, fact checking you and on your neck, how you did your homework, how you study, how you did that.
Absolutely.
So I'm super proud of that part of that, the academics right now.
That is awesome. Of course, our sons are about the same age. I think DJ is a little older than Isaiah. Isaiah just turned 18 not too long ago. Um, and he is hitting his second semester in college as well.
Yes.
Now, that first semester though,
Got it.
that first semester, we had to have a come to Jesus meeting
Okay.
and kind of talk finances, you know.
Okay.
And like, hey, bro, we're gonna need you to make some some better decisions about this class. But he figured it out. And you know, one of the hardest part, as you know, is actually letting them go.
Yes. Yes.
Just saying, "Oh, I'm getting out the way. I'm trying to be. I'm trying not to be the helicopter dad, you know, and let him do his thing, and it's working out pretty well. So you have been married how long?
20 years. 20.
20 years. So
Yes.
y'all coming up on 21 years?
Yes. August the 30th of 2024 will be 21 years. We'll be legal. Legal,
Oh,
legal.
you know what I'm saying? We'll be legal just a little bit before y'all. May 21st, we'll be married 21 years.
Okay, yes. That's what's up. We got a show. When I got married, we were young. Really didn't know what you was getting into, for real, for real. But I knew that I wanted to show young people that marriage does work. So 21 years later, I'm going to, claim it. We are showing young people that it works. Marriage does work if you work it.
Oh, 100%. So speaking of that, you're talking 21 years of marriage, and you know a lot of people see y'all right now, and they see the, you know, not the Instagram photo of y'all, right? Like they
Right,
see
right.
the good side. They see the pretty poses. Now, what would you say? What would you say one of the hardest things about marriage is?
For me, because I was very, very independent, and I already had two children coming into the marriage. So for me, I was used to taking care of my own, answering to, I didn't have to fact check with nobody. I didn't have to consult anybody. I was making my own money, working, taking care of my children. So it took me a little minute to drop my independence
Mm,
and to become become a wife. That was the biggest hurdle for me, was to drop that, because now I got to come and say, hey, let's talk about our money. Let's talk
right.
about what we finna buy. Let's talk about this. And it felt like restraint to me.
Mm.
And I was bucking against the restraint. But, in hindsight, you work it out. It's communication.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Did you have an example of a wife growing up?
No. I was gonna say yes and no, but no. So my grandmother, who half raised me, all I've ever seen her was be single, independent, strong, go-getter. So that's
Mhm.
what I modeled myself behind. That was my
Okay.
hero. Now, she had been married before, of course. My aunties in my family, by the time I got old enough to see and understand it, they were all going through a divorce at their own separate individual times.
Mhm.
So no, that's what I'm saying. Yes and no. As a little bitty girl, 5 to 7, 8, yes, I seen marriage with some of my aunties. But after that, when I really start, noticing and paying attention, everybody was getting a divorce.
Yeah. That I mean, that's when marriage is defined as divorce,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
or in some cases, marriage is defined as having side pieces as well.
right, right.
You know, so you've been married 21 years. You are, you know, you buck against the wife duties because you really didn't have an example of what that was. Now, how long did it take for you to get on track, and how patient was your boo thing? By the way, tell him I said what's up.
All right, I will. He's gonna. You know what? He is still patient. He is still patient. But for real, it probably took me because I'm stubborn, and the Lord just dealt with me about being stubborn. So it took me a minute because I would, relax it a little bit. But any minute that I felt like, or a trigger happened, I would revert back to my comfortableness,
Yeah.
So it honestly, it took me a minute. And when I say minute, I mean probably 7 years,
Wow. I dig
if
it.
not longer, and depending on at the right moment, and you ask this question, I might be like, shoot, yesterday,
Right.
you
I
know.
have one just like you. Y'all cut from the same cloth.
But God will always, when it's God ordained, when you're equally yoked, because he's gonna compliment, or she's gonna compliment that weaker portion of you. Like I
Right.
said, Ramondo is patient. You know what I'm like? Because some people would have been like, you know what, she does not make me feel like she needs me, and so I'm gonna go on. And that sometimes that causes people to pick up a side piece. Um,
Mhm.
and I didn't have to go through that. And sometimes that puts the divorce on the table, because we're not fulfilling those needs, and I'm not being, looking at myself and trying to work with myself and deal with myself, because I'm my own worst enemy.
So that is that's some good insight to yourself. That the mirror could be very difficult to look at, and you've done an amazing job to be able to assess yourself in the mirror and take responsibility and accountability for the parts that you play. Now, in reference to that, because when I hear that, I know that sometime God is speaking to you, or have been speaking to you over the course of your relationship with him, and outside of the marriage. We're not even talking marriage stuff now. We're talking just in general, God speaking, and you having that independent, um, go getter kind of mentality. What conflict did that bring up with you and God when he was trying to move you into spaces, but you were kicking against the goads?
It brought up delay. It
Mm.
was really delayed. I was not being fully obedient, and at times when I know I probably should have did something differently, or said something differently, or did not spend this amount of money. I just delayed the process. I delayed with the goal that maybe we had, that we were trying to reach and obtain. And so I wasn't denied, because he was still patient, and he was, willing to stick it out. So, walk with me, and I imagine in my mind, I'm saying the Lord is telling him, she gonna get it together. Don't just be patient. She gonna get it together. That's in my mind. God talking to Ramondo. She gonna get it together. And me actually getting it together, and still working on it, because I ain't arrived. I don't think I arrive fully until when I'm sleeping in
For
that grave.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if I asked you to rate yourself 10 out of 10 and you said 10, we ending this thing
Right.
in a
Listen,
false
full of her,
reality.
yes, because I'm ready for a fall, full of herself.
Like,
Right.
okay, yeah. And so being this woman of God, was that something that you initially instilled into your children? Did as you grew in your walk, was that the basis of things that you were teaching them?
So the one thing that I am proud about that I taught them were to take accountability of their actions, of their decisions rather. So
Mhm.
if you make a decision, and it does not turn out right from you, you have to deal with the consequences of your decision. don't, because so many times we want to blame it on somebody else when actually we had the choice that we could have made. So I feel like that with all three of them, that they are good at taking ownership of their right, their wrong, and their right. What I look at that I feel like I could have done better was I could have modeled in the beginning being a more submissive wife, being
Yeah.
more of a less argumentative, less opinionated. Now they see it, because years have gone by and I've worked through it, and it's still, again, still working on it. But I wish that I had modeled that a little bit differently for them.
Okay. Okay. So you you are your wife, your mom, and you're an entrepreneur, and I know life just wasn't all cookies and creams,
Oh,
right?
no, no.
But this is how people see us, though. You know, like people see the glitz and the glamour right now. What was something that you faced early on, just in your this is in marriage, outside of marriage? What is something that you faced early on that almost caused you to tap out?
Eee. So one of the things where I got pregnant early. I got pregnant at 16. Okay. So I'm a teenage mom and I own the responsibility of that. Moving forward, I doubted myself a lot. I looked at other of my other classmates and felt like if I hadn't did what I did, then I would be further along in life. When in actuality, that made me who I am now.
Hmm.
Going through that. That did not make me want to tap out, but it did make me kind of look back, and just it made me work self-esteem. When I say self-esteem, I'm not meaning like looks and appearance. I'm meaning internally, not thinking that I'm good enough, not thinking that I missed out on a lot of things in life because I had to be a mom, which in
Hmm.
fact is a truth. I did miss out on a lot of things because I had to be a mom, but I did not miss out on the things that God had for me because I was a mom. So that it didn't make me like want to tap out and give up, but it did make me slow up a lot because I felt like I missed out on a lot.
Understandable.
Hmm.
Understandable. So, are in your network of family, where do
Hmm.
you fall in the chain of oldest, youngest, only child? Where do you fall at in that line?
I am the bossy oldest of three. It's four of us, and I am the oldest.
You are
Bossy.
the
Oh,
oldest. Oh Lord.
yep, that's me.
So are is it all girls? Is it or
Two girls, two boys.
okay? Okay. Wow. So you're the oldest of four. Yeah. Was you a good big sister?
You would have to ask her.
I mean,
Because I don't want to be like yes, and I don't want to be like no, but I feel like I was a pretty good sister with the tools that I had. I call myself the family manager. Most older siblings are the family manager,
right.
but um, I feel like I did well with the tools that I had. My mom it was me and my sister. We were back to back. Then
Hmm.
12 years later, my mom had the two boys. So my brothers are almost like kind of like my children.
I get that. 12 years,
Yeah. So
12 years apart.
yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
it kind
you
of,
know, I'm a firm believer in procreating and reproducing, but when your child can take care of himself, woo!
yes.
Your mom's a trooper.
that was another type of freedom. But
That,
you know, she wanted to go back again. So
so
yeah.
you grew as a teen mom. I'm pretty sure there are countless experiences. Um, I'm pretty sure you had a pretty dynamic support system to kind of help you move along so you can land where you are. What what were what are some of the things that you pull out of your childhood that help you forge the person that you are now? The What are the things that you can say, you know what, I got that. Part of that is because of how I grew up or where I grew up, or the things that I experienced growing up, and I can apply that into me being successful now.
Yes. The first thing that come to mind is a hustler. My dad was a hustler. My grandmother was a hustler. My work ethic is it is work ethic. Like I will roll my sleeves up and get in there and do whatever. I didn't had manufacturing jobs to desk jobs to, you know, gravy jobs to not I can get it done. So that is one thing that pushes me and propels me now, even being an entrepreneur, is just the work ethic and the networking. I like people, so I like to talk. So when I don't meet too many strangers, you gotta really like I gotta get a for me not to just be, you know, I'm gonna be nice and friendly, but to not make a genuine connect with you. So that those are the two things, and I got those from my dad. Just you know, being that way, having those two qualities.
Th- those are those are two good qualities. You got to be special to work a room. You got it. Everybody can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It is definitely a gifting and a calling to be able to connect with people immediately and instantly and make people feel comfortable and allow people to let their guard down. What do you feel that and I'm gonna get to your business thing, but outside of that, outside of that, what has God called you? What do you feel God has purposed you to do?
two two things. I believe my purpose is it is to be authentic and real and transparent as a child of God.
Mhm.
um yes, this life is fruitful, it is wonderful, but we do go through times in where it just get hard on us, and we, you know, we might be having moments where we second guessing and you know, but just keeping your faith. I'm a transparent person, especially when it comes to my walk with Christ, well really in my life in general. That's one. And then my second purpose is to, I don't believe that we as Christians are supposed to be broke, busted, and disgusted.
Right.
So, with that belief that I have, in being around elders in the church and outside of the church, that was seemed to be comfortable, doing well off. Some would say rich, some would say comfortable, some would say wealthy. It made me start trying to figure out what happened, what, you know. And so even with my own hardships, you know, I learned through finances. So teaching finances to first to in my household, and then two
Mhm.
to God's children,
Mhm.
because we are not supposed to be broke, busted, and disgusted.
We're
So
not.
yeah, we cannot be. We
We're
can't,
not.
you
You
know.
can't advance. You can't move ministry broke.
Yes, yes. And so teaching the basic foundations of finances, that those are my purposes, and they kind of in with women, and reason why I say with women is because in the culture that we're in right now, the times that we're in right now, the century that we're in right now, it's women who is in the household now. Our fathers, some of them are absent, some of them are in jail, some of them are dead, some of them are there in the household as well. But you're going to find in probably about 80 to 85, 90% of households, you're going to always get a mom. And
Oh,
so
for sure.
the mom is the teacher, right? So if I can teach women the basic fundamentals of finances so that they can in turn teach their children, teach their nieces and nephews. Then we can get a kind of little grip on this, because right now we playing behind the ball.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What we were the last couple years, about last 7 years, there's been a shift in our younger people. They want money. They say, hey, this paper is out here. I gotta go get it. Let's get
Right.
it. So they're trying to learn it and figure it out, so they won't have to live that broke, busted, and disgusted life.
So you know, I'm a firm believer that God has he tells us a couple of things scripturally. He says, one, he says, occupy till I come,
Yes.
meaning, okay, do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, be out here doing something. And then the other thing I think that we kind of overlook is when he says, I give, these things accompany salvation, and
Yeah.
I give you the ability to attain wealth. I think, what things accompany salvation? Well, the ability to get wealth. So I think that is one of those things that we overlook. And you been in finance and been able to educate people on finance. Now, was that something that you were always into, or did God have to drag you, pull you, push you, drop the bottom out of everything to get you to move in what you're doing?
Yes, you on my street now. So absolutely. I did not even imagine I would be doing what I'm doing right now. I thought I worked with David's Bridal. I was the general manager of David's Bridal. I sold wedding gowns. I had a 3 million, I managed a $3 million store. And I thought that's where I was going to retire, is within that company. So when you getting it, that's where I thought. But in turn, God was telling me to step out and do queendom, and I wouldn't, because I had accumulated debt. I
Mhm.
had, I need this income to take care of my household bills. And so, things started happening, and, I didn't, when you got the money coming in, but it ain't every month, you ain't meeting all of it. You taking over into it, and you like, I make the money. That became a issue. And finally I was just like, okay, let's do this. So I did it secretly. I'm saying secretly, privately, before I went publicly, because
Mhm.
I needed to. One, I had recovered twice from I had recovered twice from being in debt. I never had to file bankruptcy, thank the Lord. God always gave me a strategy and a way and a plan to come up out of it, but also attending classes and things like that, when I started getting serious about it, and then started working on my friends' profiles and things like that, and trying to help them and guide them. And then I started seeing, hey, I started getting confident within myself. Oh, I really can do this, but I still wasn't trying to move out and do it. So the pressure came on my job, to where because I had it working like a clock, like a wheel. I would go in and we was getting it, we was making our numbers, but it was no longer fun for me. It was becoming burdensome, stressed, and all that was, the pressure was coming down on me, because God was pushing me out, but I was still trying to hang on to it. And finally I ended up leaving, and I left the company, and I was the number one company the year that I left. I had won a trip and everything, and I walked away from it all. And I said, all right, told Ramonda, all right, I'm gonna try it. Now, even with me trying it, I did not do plan A. I tried to skip plan A, which is working with people with their credit, being a financial coach. I tried to skip that part and go into the podcast part. Because I was like, I'm trying to work on my, I work my strength, my comfort, let me boost other businesses and have them over. And it's like, I worked it it was working, but wasn't no fruit coming out of it.
Mm.
And so finally I had to stop and fast and really get into it and say, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. If it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail. I really wasn't concerned about the failing part of it, because I look at failure as lessons. You find the lessons in it. But I I have not done a podcast since 2020, I think.
Well, thank you for pulling up.
I canceled everybody. I canceled my bookings that I had that were, so record. And I said, you know what, I gotta do it. Okay, how we gonna do this? And after then, I took what God was telling me, networking and getting out with people. And from there, it's just been up. And then he just started layering more things onto it. So when I left my job, I went into banking. And the Holy Spirit told me specifically, when he sent me into the banking realm, this is not for you to climb the ladder. This is for you to get in and get up under the underwriters, so that way you can see what they're looking for when they are approving loans, when they're denying them. So when you're fixing the profile, you know exactly what they need on there to get approved versus get declined. So when I went in with that. So the trial came, the test came to see if I was gonna bite. It came 3 times actually. And on the third time of the decline, decline was like this: I'll take it, but I gotta have this location. I'm not working this day. I gotta have this amount of money, blah, blah, blah. I had a laundry list. And because I knew that if they came back with it, I was going to be selling my soul. Because I know what the Holy Spirit told me. I'm not here to climb the ladder of success. I was here for a specific reason. And so they never came back to me after when I gave them that laundry list. Hey, they left me alone. So and when my time was up there, I woke up one day and it was just like, all right, this is it. You got to go full time, And I thank God that I have a supporting husband too, that, I was able to say, honey, today this is going to be it. Today, the last day, let's talk about it, blah, blah, blah. We got to go full time, because honestly, it had got to the point to where I was working queendom on the bank's hour.
Right.
And I would do the bank's work 2 hours out of my day, but the rest of the 5, 6, I was doing my business. So, and that ain't godly.
Right.
So it was time. So that's that.
So when you got to that point, and you said, okay, God, I had to take these baby steps in faith, and you finally pulled that parachute, how much pushback did you get from people around you?
None. No, because my circle and my circle in my immediate family, they know that if I didn't made a decision, I didn't heard from God, I didn't talked it over with Ramondo. That's all that matters.
Okay.
So I didn't have the pushback from that type of people. Majority of my friends, they were excited. They get excited. They be way more excited than I be about stuff. So I never had the pushback.
Okay. Then, so you have a book, right?
Yes, I have 2.
So that's one of them.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, I am credit worthy.
Okay. And you have, I think this one.
Yes, I am financially savvy. So that is my first baby.
Okay.
So I never, let's say this. I didn't even imagine that I was going to be an author. A lady that used to work for me walked up to me one day in what I thought my career job was going to be, and prophesied to me and told me that I was going to be an author. And I was like, me? No, because it never even hit my mind at all. It was never desired anything. it didn't become, it didn't walk in, I didn't walk into that until, like I said, God started layering the different aspects onto Queendom once I took the step to actually submit fully to his plans. Not the podcast, because he said we'll get to that. Not that, but me actually doing the coaching and the credit restoration. So that book came out of the coaching portion. It was a get my feet wet, see how it's gonna go, and with just being an author. Again, the support system, they were way more excited than I was. When my first copy came in the mail, they were out there video recording everything, and I was just like, oh, okay. Okay, So and that I have a great support system. So that's great as well.
Well, that's you know, as a person who is sitting on a book, uh, and I'm really getting encouraged and inspired by some of the things that you're saying, and I'm a big faith person, and I've been walking with God for grip for about 25 years.
Okay.
And and so I got saved once, and once I got saved, I've been going hard ever since. So, but to hear the story of the faith and just really trusting that God is God and that whatever God placed inside of you, that He birthed out of you, and now you get to see and experience the the fruit of God's plan for your life is a testimony all in itself with people who are watching. And the reason why I'm doing this podcast in general is sort of like I got my hands in a whole lot of stuff. We shaking and moving. We got our hands in some things.
Yeah.
And I actually started this podcast to 2020, I think 2019, 2020. And I didn't really push it. I kind of did a couple of interviews, and you know what I mean. But then God just kind of brought this thing back around. So now I'm in that space where you are now, and think the fruit from it. I'm starting to experience the fruit of that. So how encouraging, like when you are sharing with your children, because it's hard for young people to really grasp this faith thing because they see us and they see where we are.
Yeah.
They don't see the even though they might see the prayers, they see the reading the Bible, they see you walking around praising and worshiping. But how much more exciting is it for you when they could see when they could see God moving and working in your life, and when they come across something and you and Ramondo speak life into them, and then they get a chance to experience God for themselves? How does that make you feel?
It is very rewarding. It makes you feel like your labor is not in vain. So because we know we've always given our children to make space, we've always given our children space to make errors. But if we want to be in the space to where they feel comfortable enough to come to us in the error and let us walk them through it, and how to get back how to get back into the right standing or alignment, or where you can hear from God, So I'm gonna think about my son. Boys like rap music, and so
I have one.
yes, boys like rap music. Well, I remember when he was in elementary school, and I realized that instead of us saying no, 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 you can't listen to it, and this is why you can't listen to it, blah 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 blah. I learned, I was more of trying to steer them in the knowledge of the music, what's behind the music, because I was a beat person and my husband was a lyrics person. So we both can speak from two different avenues with him. But what made me switch was in school, they play it for them during PE, during recess, during breakfast. So they're going to get it. So not that I'm compromising or adjusting to the world. I'm just trying to equip him so that way he can pick out rap music for him that's going to be edifying. That's
For
not,
sure.
that's not, selling dreams, because everybody want to be hard.
Right.
Everybody want to sell dope. Everybody want to kill somebody. That ain't those are lies. Some of them,
Right.
and some of them ain't. But
Most
listen
of it
to
is.
somebody, listen to somebody with some substance.
Right.
So giving them trying to teach them that space, because we know that they're going to get grown, and we know that they're not going to always be around us, and we want them to be able to make their decisions for themselves. But to answer your question, it is very rewarding for that. It's rewarding now for me, for my kids to call me every day. Every other day, when I get a phone call from them, I'm excited, because some parents don't. Their children leave home and they don't get a phone call.
For sure.
So that warms my heart that they, that they still want to call and talk to mom, and dad. I'm excited about that. I don't take it for granted at all.
That is definitely a blessing. I work with young people, and a lot of young people don't trust their parents,
Yeah.
and a lot of young people don't feel that they can go and that their parents is a safe space, because parents weaponize stuff that the kids say, or parents don't apologize. So for you to be able to create that space for your children to say, mom is safe,
Mm-hmm.
mom mom ain't gonna weaponize anything that I tell. Mom and dad ain't gonna do this. They're not gonna We gonna speak to it if it's wrong, but we not gonna weaponize it. And
Correct. The one thing my children say about me is I talk too much.
I'm pretty sure my son would co-sign on that too, with about me as well. But that's, to have that relationship is very is just like crazy important. And
Mm-hmm.
because I heard a saying years ago. It said you control them when they're younger, so you can influence them when they're teenager, and then you can lead them as adults.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm 100% on that. Like, to be able to dictate you as younger
Mm-hmm.
and not ruin the relationship, and then be able to influence you during your teenage years when everything else is trying to influence you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
now that as a young adult, you trust me to lead you to down a path. So that's
Absolutely.
amazing as a mom and as a parent. Let me not. I mean, because I know, even though your boo thing, he's not around, but I know that they are. I mean, he's not around on this.
Yes.
Let me not say that. Like, he's around, like, but he's not on this podcast. But
Right.
I know he plays an integral part as the father that brings the affirmation and the validation.
Yeah.
And I want to salute to him. It, so you're moving in what God has called you to do, has ordained you to do.
Yes.
What advice would you give to somebody right now who is still searching for that passion and that purpose in life?
Yes. So the advice I would do is look within yourself. Everything that we need, God placed it in us when He created us. So we got to tap into ourselves. We got to know what we like, what we don't like, what we'll tolerate, what we won't tolerate. We got to be in tune with ourselves. How you do that is, can't nobody check you like you checking your own self. You know what I'm saying? You got to look your own self in the mirror and be like, Kia, you tripping, girl. So I have, you got to have those conversations with yourself. Also, you can't do nothing without God. Even to where I am now, God is the foundation. He has to, even in marriage, children, your life with your boyfriend, girlfriend, schooling, God has to be the anchor in order for it to work. And then another thing is, sometimes we despise those moments of our low moments. In the Bible, they call them Lodabar. you know. So sometimes we hate those low moments, those low paces, those things that really broke us and broke our heart. Those God uses that. When my family, we had to live in a hotel for a whole week. When that broke me, to me, that was my homelessness. You know, that was my, you gonna have to change. You gonna have to figure this out. And it wasn't because we wasn't paying our bills. We were downsizing, you know, so that my husband can go back to school. But in that moment though, that broke me. Like, you know, you got to get this together. Not being able to pay your bills on time every month, that's a breaking for me. You know, being financially challenged, that was a breaking for me, because I like to buy stuff, which I didn't trip back a whole lot, like a whole lot. But out of the areas that hurt you the most is normally the area that is going to be your purpose, because that is where we go and pull somebody else up, because we didn't experience it. We know what it feel like, we know what it looked like, and we can go reach back and pull somebody else up. So use those moments, those times, the ones that you don't want to talk about. We got to heal from those so that you can be bold and confident to talk about those moments now. You know, my car, I didn't had 2-3 cars repoed. You know, so though life gonna life, you hear me? But you
Right.
gotta, in those moments, once you start healing, then you gotta go and find the lesson from what God is trying to show you, and then use that to plant in somebody else. That's purpose, helping somebody else with your story.
And that's the gospel, though. I mean, you know, that is the goal, is to take your life experiences and throw lifelines to people who are on paths that are struggling, who are wandering in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And so you've figured out your lifeline that you can throw and give people a lifeline to pull them off the path.
Mm.
I did a project not too long ago, and I had to cut down trees.
Uh-huh.
Now, I am not a dude that cut down trees. I got a chainsaw and start cutting trees down.
Yeah.
Now, the first few trees that I cut almost fell on me
Oh.
because I didn't understand how to cut the tree.
Yeah.
And so I'm cutting and I'm like, oh, yo, this thing about to crush me.
Yeah.
But after about 3 or 4 times of that, then I realized, you know what? There's a different way for me to cut these trees down. And
Uh-huh.
so your experience is like that, like, you know, the pitfalls, you know, the ups, you know, the downs, you know, the booby traps, you know, the quicksand, and your lifeline is able to say, hey, I'm trying to pull you. I want to throw you this lifeline. Um, how now, this question, please, any of her clients that hear this is not directed to you. So if you get offended or get convicted, I'm just asking a general question.
Disclaimer. All
This,
right,
I,
let's go.
I want nobody pulling up on you, be like, you was talking about my business. No, this is a general question. She don't even know I'm about to ask this question. But how difficult is it when you know you got the goods? You know you throwing lifelines and they choose not to listen.
Disclaimer, I'm not talking about any one of my queendom queens and gents, okay? Kings and queens, I'm not talking about y'all. He asking for a friend and I'm talking to, I'm just, so it can all right. So it is heartbreaking because I want to see everybody win.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to be, I want your finances, whatever your goal is, when I'm working with you, that's my goal. So when you give up, it hurts me because I know that you ain't seen the light at the end of the tunnel yet.
Mm.
And I know we gonna get there. Or you give up, you see some light and then you give up. you don't finish the process.
Oof.
So that one right there really hurts me, because normally if you give up in the beginning because you ain't seen no light, you ain't sick of yourself yet. You ain't sick of your situation yet. You know,
Right.
you willing to go back and gamble with it. But when you start seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, then you feel like, oh, I'm good, I got it, and we don't finish the process in it. The biggest lesson I learned so far, one of the biggest lessons, but I say it was really big to me, was trying to pull somebody towards their goal, their greatness, because I see their potential and I see what it's gonna be at the end. And they start coming along, and then they stop along the way, and they didn't tell me that they were tired or that they needed a break or whatever it was. I don't want to do this anymore. I have a new goal now, and I'm steady pulling them on that same goal.
Mm.
And
Good stuff.
So now you're resenting me, and you're resenting the strategy and the plan and the motivation, the encouragement, the insight that I'm giving you. And you're resenting it. You're bucking against everything. And I'm like, but it's gonna work. It's gonna work. Come on. And
Right.
you stuck in quicksand. And sometimes I don't give up on people quickly. I hang around a little too long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it causes conflict.
I dig it, because I'm the same way. We're kind of cut from the same cloth when it comes to giving people, holding on a little bit too long and not listening to the outside people saying, you might want to cut that lifeline right there.
Yeah.
Or at least leave it there and let it go. And when they pull it, you'll see it move. Yeah. So you have a coaching business, and I'm gonna put that up right here. We have. So this is how they can get in contact you with your coaching business.
Yes, absolutely.
And I want to just tell everybody, look, this is an amazing woman, and she is a beast and a savage at what she does. And you have to have the investment in yourself to be able to want to be better, do better, and experience better. And if you have somebody who is the professional, who is the expert in their industry, right? Like,
right.
Your car is ticking and you hear something in your engine, you not about to bring it to little buddy around the corner that don't even have a toolkit. You're going to go to the expert to hear and get your car diagnosed so that you can have a running vehicle. And I believe that y'all need to get with her and get on that path of financial freedom, understanding your credit, because a lot of confidence comes from being able to understand and manage finances.
Yes.
And you have an expert here. You go to her website, hit her up. That's the number. That's the website. Please, please, please go. And if you want any information about it, and if you want a consultation, I'm pretty sure she'll give you a consultation. Don't be out here knowing that you need help and knowing that with this platform, I'm trying to give people exposure to stuff that they normally don't get exposed to and what they don't talk about. And so we have an expert here. So make sure y'all go and follow her on all her social media, support her books, support her movement. We've been on here almost an hour.
Yes. Let me add this right here, because I wear many hats. I wear a life insurance hat as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, I help you with your legacy as well. So technically, all things finances, So
one-stop shop.
Yes, and I do have consultations. Consultations are free. We could talk for a minute, because not even just, but I was thinking about being an entrepreneur. Thinking certain people supposed to support you. and you feel in a certain type of way when those certain people don't support you, but that might not be your support, because they're not going to support you until when everybody else starts supporting you. That's one. My other thing was I wasn't charging my worth and my value. And my husband was getting on to me, and me and him, we going back and forth. And I'm like, this is my ministry. This is my purpose. And he was like, but he's seeing the business side of it, and I'm seeing ministry. And I said, well, you worry about pricing, I'm gonna worry about ministry. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, business coach, you ain't charging what you need to charge. You begin results. You get people love you. And finally, I surrendered. And I still, even in the surrendering, I let them do my pricing, but it's still lower than Dave Ramsey. It's still lower than your high box people, because I want you to get it.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Again, it's an investment in yourself. We not ashamed of prices.
Yes, we are not, but it took me to get there as an entrepreneur.
When you realize the value of something, you invest in the value of that. I have one last question.
Okay.
And it took me a lot to think about this question.
Okay.
What is something that you didn't pay attention to early on that you had to learn the hard way?
In business?
Just in general, in life.
Ask me one more time so I make sure I got it.
What is something that you didn't pay attention to early on and you had to learn it the hard way?
Thank you. So, what I'm saying could be truth and facts. Is truth and facts in what I'm saying, but the delivery on how I'm saying it will go across way better than just shooting it sharp. I had to learn that I damaged a lot of relationships, knowingly and unknowingly, because I was raised to speak the truth. But I didn't take into account that I needed to speak the truth, but speak it in a way so that they can digest it. So it took me years, and it took me good relationships that I had built, but then I tore them back down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very mindful now, because I've learned, and I'm very mindful and careful about these words that come out of this mouth. Not even the words that come out, but the tone behind it, meaning not the base or the influx of it, but because that's just, you can catch it off the bat. You ain't gonna be hollering at me. Not that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about when you're making someone feel like you're belittling them, or if you're making someone feel less than, or if you're making someone feel like they're being reprimanded. Those are tones that we don't talk about. See, we're talking about pitch and volume. I'm talking the behind it that tears someone down. So I had to learn that, and it had to be modeled before I got it.
Ooh, whew! That's a mouthful right there, and this has been an amazing conversation. This was really fun and dope. And you got anything you want to say to the people?
What I wrote down in the midst of it while we were talking is, your experience is your experience, but use that experience for the betterment of you. And that everything that you need is on the inside of you. If you don't remember anything else, you got it. It's on the inside of you. You just got to tap into it.
With that being said, she did an amazing job. This is full of wisdom and insight and revelation. Hey, it's been your boy, C. Maurice Ball. I love you like a play cousin. Until next time, we out. Peace.